And welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Happy Thursday to you all. Of course, I am occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me, always known as your Thunderstick, sometimes known as a vice mayor, but randomly, seldomly known as Jesse Friedman. Of course, we are here to talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks upcoming series with the New York Mets that starts tonight, as well as some other fun stuff, including our power rankings and our boy Ryan Thompson getting his own dish at a restaurant here locally in town. But if you think the Arizona Diamondbacks are down bad, let me introduce you to the 2024 New York Mets, everybody, because things are not going well for that team either, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, they've lost 8 of their last 9 games. They've lost 13 out of 16. They've lost 15 out of 19.
I like all those little. That's great.
Yeah, I keep going. I keep going. Yeah, they have really struggled as of late, and the Diamondbacks are a team that is obviously struggling in their own right and trying to turn things around. And it feels like a series against the New York Mets is sort of exactly what you would want at this point in the season, but. Then again, Derek, like we saw them lose a series to the Marlins over the weekend. We saw them lose a series to the Detroit Tigers. It kind of feels like the Diamondbacks are capable of, I guess, winning a series against anyone, and that they did win a series against the Dodgers last week, but also losing a series against anyone. We've seen them get beat by some pretty bad baseball teams so far this year.
Ernesto puts it perfectly in the comments. Ernesto says, today a stoppable force meets a movable object. Who will be claimed victory by default? I don't know. But, of course, we do have a lot of information on this New York Mets team. Let's take a look at the Mets stats this season. Here are the Mets at a glance. They have a 22-33 record, a minus 37 run differential. As Jesse mentioned before, they are 2-8 in their last 10. They have lost 8 of their last 9, 13 of their last 16. Starting pitching ERA right now for the Mets is 4.36, which is 22nd in Major League Baseball. They have a 3.79 relief pitching ERA, which is middle of the pack at 14th. Team OPS 674, again, also 22nd in Major League Baseball, and minus 8 outs above average here, which is good for 23rd in baseball. Not a very good baseball team at all. Also minus 32 for defensive runs saved, which is tied for last in the entire league. This is a team that the Diamondbacks should be able to get right against. So, of course, the Mets will probably get right against Diamondbacks. That's usually it's probably how this works. Now, this, we talked about taking care of business, right? And so far, the Diamondbacks haven't really taken care of business against those teams that, at least on paper, logically, you would think that they would have the advantage against, right? This is another one of those teams that the Diamondbacks on paper are better than. However, how they're playing in their last 7 games really isn't much better than what the Mets have done in their last 7 games.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, looking a little closer at the Mets, like Francisco Lindor has not really gotten going at all this season. He comes in with a slash line of 211, 279, 372. We just played a series. Diamondbacks just played a series with a certain shortstop that had numbers that seemed a little bit below what we're used to seeing. And that particular shortstop still had a pretty good series, of course, talking about Corey Seager. So Lindor has heated up a little bit here over the last week or so. He has an 842 OPS in his past 8 games. So someone the Diamondbacks are certainly going to want to be careful with, despite what his season numbers say. Of course, JD Martinez, Derek, landed with the New York Mets. He has a 730 OPS this year, though. He hasn't been nearly as good as I think people expected him to be. Granted, it's not a super big sample size, 114 plate appearances. Plus a really late start for him. Yeah, really late start for him. He was injured out of the gate. So that could be a factor there. Pete Alonso took a pitch to the hand in yesterday's Mets game against the Dodgers. He is not in the lineup today and is day-to-day. So maybe the Diamondbacks avoid Pete Alonso for the whole series. It seems like there's a chance he could get back in the lineup at some point. But yeah, I guess they dodge a bullet there in some ways, at least not having him in the lineup today.
See, it's like all of these things that essentially, even due to injury, are going the Diamondbacks' way a bit, makes me be that much more skeptical that they're going to win this 4-game series. And this really is an important 4-game series because the Mets not only have lost some key pieces, they also just lost Edwin Diaz, who was placed on the IL with an shoulder impingement. What does that mean, Jesse? Did you figure that out? I
figured you would know. I mean, it seems like you can always relate to all of these.
I can. Yeah, that's an impingement. Sounds like something I would very much call something happening to me in my knee or my shoulder, so I can relate when it comes to that. But I definitely can't relate to what Edwin Diaz has gone through, because he's had such an up and down season. And considering that the Mets missed him all last year, that has to be a huge blow to this team, that not only was he not very good, but now here he is going back on the IL with any kind of injury at all.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for the Diaz bros. Alexis Diaz, of course, the closer for the Reds. The D-backs got to him a few weeks back. Kevin Newman, of course, with the big walk-off hit in that game. That Diaz has not had a great year, and Edwin Diaz has not had a great year either for the New York Mets. But yeah, he goes on the IL. I guess theoretically makes the bullpen a little bit thinner. And this is a Mets bullpen that hasn't, although they're kind of middle of the pack for the season, they've had some bullpen meltdowns late in games over the last few days. We saw that yesterday. I think Adam Ottavino gave up 4 runs in their loss yesterday against the Dodgers. So this is a very beatable team, Derek. But given how the Diamondbacks have played lately, that hasn't. They've still lost to some pretty beatable teams, so it's hard to go too far down.
I remain cautiously pessimistic when it comes to playing any series that the Diamondbacks should win. But speaking of meltdowns, Mets reliever Jorge Lopez had possibly the biggest meltdown of all. He has been designated for assignment by the Mets after a complicated series of events, Jesse, you could say. This started out with the Wednesday's game against the Dodgers. Lopez was tossed by third base umpire Ramon de Jesus after arguing a check swing call in the 8th inning of Wednesday's game. Then after he was tossed out of the game, he proceeded to throw his glove over a very, very tall net in one shot, which is impressive because that's not an easy thing to do, to arc it over the net and to get it to a fan, which has to be the coolest souvenir you could ever take home from a baseball game. Am I right? I mean, even a bat is cool, but the glove, a player's glove that was literally in the game, come on, someone walked away with the best souvenir ever. However, Lopez did not walk away with very good feelings or at least any kind of good relationship with his team. He threw his glove into the stands after that, and then Mets manager Carlos Mendoza discussed, basically talking to him about that. Things got worse when we then talked to the media because I don't know, we're still unclear if it was a lack of understanding what he was trying to say, maybe even misinterpretation of his words, or maybe it was just him being emotional and saying how he really felt in the moment. But here is what Lopez had to say after the game in regards to that incident.
Carlos Mendoza said that he understands the emotion, but that particular action of throwing your glove into the stands was unacceptable. Looking back on it, do you regret doing that?
No, I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst team probably in the whole MLB. So, whatever happened. So, whatever they want to do it, I'll be tomorrow here if they want me. Whatever they want to do. So, I'm gonna keep doing this thing. So I'm healthy on whatever. On whatever to do. I'm ready to come back tomorrow, and if they want me to be here, so I'll be here.
When he said I'm going to keep doing this thing, does he mean keep throwing his glove into the crowd?
I
don't think so. Right?
I would hope not.
No.
I don't think so. And yeah, there was quite a bit of controversy surrounding this quote. People wondering, did he call the Mets the worst team in probably the whole effing MLB? Or did he say that he has been the worst teammate in probably the whole effing MLB? Of course, those two statements have very, very, very different meanings.
It sounded like he said teammate.
It sounds to me also like he said teammates, and that is contrary to what I think Talkin' Baseball had it on their Twitter account. They said team, and I believe that was after SNY, which is the actual broadcast partner of the New York Mets that originally posted this clip. They also said they said the same thing on Twitter. They said team, not teammate. So yeah, it felt like you probably should be pretty careful in these kind of situations and making sure that you represent those words correctly when those two different meanings are obviously so different.
Right.
And also, this is someone who English is not his first language, right?
I don't even know if the regret thing was properly, I don't know this. I'm speaking, just speculating here, but I don't even know if when he was saying like, no, he doesn't regret it, if he even meant that in that way, right? Like,
I think that part was pretty obvious.
Yeah,
I think he pretty clearly was asked, do you regret tossing your glove over the backstop?
But then
and
his next statement would essentially be no, that he doesn't regret it, but he's the worst effing teammate, the worst teammate in effing baseball, right? So like, I don't know if he was just really down on himself there in that moment. Like, it didn't really feel like his answers really were making sense to the questions as much as he was just frustrated and emotional. And he probably did regret that. But I mean, that's the problem, is in those moments, right? Those questions are tossed up and usually we get non-controversial answers, right? It's very easy for you to give the right answer typically after a game, unless you're being honest. And, it felt like he was venting there and being a little honest and not just giving the canned answers of, yes, I regret my actions. I didn't mean that, act out that way, or whatever the case may be. But it definitely felt like what happened on the field was enough to potentially cause the team to consider moving on from him, let alone his answer afterwards being picked up one way or another. We also have another clip. This is him.
One of the reporters that was there tried to clarify, like, did you actually just say that you play for the worst effing team in all of MLB? And this didn't actually really bring a whole lot of clarity to the situation. Here's how Lopez responded.
Just to clarify what you said, just because I didn't fully understand. Did you say I'm on the worst team? Is that what you had said?
Yeah, probably. It looked like.
And that they were embarrassed by you? Is that what you...
Yeah, they do.
There it feels to me like he doesn't
understand the question.
He doesn't really understand the question. Yeah. And this is where, you and I being in the Diamondbacks clubhouse, some guys whose original language is not English, some of them want a translator and some of them are okay speaking to the media in English. But you can very much understand why a player, even if they are pretty comfortable talking in English, how these little subtleties are really important.
Yeah.
And you really want to make sure you get something like this right. So it gave me an appreciation for, like, yes, it is okay if the player who knows English pretty well still wants to use a translator, because it's hard to make heads or tails of this situation after the fact.
And after the fact on Instagram, Lopez did kind of, I guess, blame the media there for taking it out of context, which, again, it does seem like he might have misunderstood. And then it got put this way. He said, whoever hear me say, I said teammate, and I said and what I said on the situation, I've been the worst teammate. Thanks, media, for making it worst, is what he's saying here.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, yes, media is going to make comments worse because media hears what you say and then puts it out there, right? They did try to clarify what he was saying afterwards, so it's not like they just took it for granted. But
yeah,
it also, like, I was telling Jesse this beforehand. I speak Spanish, but not well. And sometimes I often act like I understood what someone said, even though I have no clue what they said. So, I mean, sometimes when there's a language barrier, you might attempt to answer the question because you were able to understand some of it, or maybe just in general, you really weren't understanding. I don't know if that's to blame here, or if it really is just the fact that Lopez was emotional in the moment, just like he was when he threw his glove into the stands and made comments that, are going to reflect poorly on you, especially if they were about the team and not yourself. I still heard teammate. Gabriel in the chat says, I'd rather hear him say that then I gave 100%. It's a long season, which, I mean, those are the canned answers that we typically get at times whenever we do talk to guys after a game or especially after an incident like this. Like, we have a lot of moments where, you know, things get heated in a baseball game, and when we go to talk to the player or Tori even afterwards, they try to give a much more, you know, a much more professional answer than I'm sure than they even want to, right? Because it's part of the process. You don't want your comments to then become a situation the way that this has for Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what exactly he said after the fact, whether it was team or teammate, I think we can all agree that this isn't the proper way to respond to, you know, struggling in the 8th inning. And I think he had just given up a home run. It was obviously a tough spot. The Mets aren't playing well. But yeah, you don't want your reliever to be throwing their glove into the stands. You don't want them getting tossed, arguing, you know, a call with the third base umpire. You don't. Yeah, there was also some controversy about whether he had talked to Carlos Mendoza or not about this incident, where he had said that he hadn't, when in fact some people were saying he had. There's all sorts of different angles to the story. I don't think he dealt with this situation particularly well. He clearly was still feeling the emotions and was still kind of in the heat of the moment when the media was speaking with him after this. But yeah, at the same time, like, Jorge Lopez has been around for a while. There's an interesting story on Yahoo Sports where Jake Mintz, our friend from Baseball Barbercast, talked to a number of different sources who know Jorge Lopez well. And it seems like he has a little bit of a history of this, of maybe like right after the fact, having a little bit of a harder time controlling his emotions. But that at the end of the day, he's a really good guy and a good teammate. And he's also dealing with has dealt with some other stuff over the years. In this story, it talks about his son, who has what sounds like a really brutal illness that keeps him from being able to watch his dad pitch at all, or at least watch him pitch all that much. And it sounds like it was his son's birthday yesterday, which was, I imagine that was maybe an emotional moment for him. Jorge Lopez also has talked about some mental illness, some mental health struggles in the past as well. So at the end of the day, he's a human being, and I think we can all kind of empathize with, like, we've all had bad days in doing what we do, and that stuff happens to everyone, and it's not always easy to control.
You're literally here after every show I do. Jesse has to put up with 2 to 3 times a week me talking about how much I suck once we turn this camera off. So yeah, we're not always happy with our performance, and sometimes talking to someone right after the game.
Yeah,
I mean that's what we want, right? We want them hot. We want them emotional. And somehow over the years, they've figured out a way to keep their answers very generic so that they don't give us that emotion, that they don't give us those talking points. And then when they do, it ends up potentially costing a guy his job because the situation spirals out of control. But that's kind of everything going on with the Mets right now. Nothing is going right for them. And we can relate. The Arizona Diamondbacks, of course, don't have a lot going right for us right now, but at least they don't have this kind of, I guess, toxic kind of energy going on with their clubhouse right now and with some of their players.
They had like a 40-minute team meeting after the game yesterday. This situation with the Mets is a lot bigger than just Jorge Lopez's comments after the game and him being getting designated for assignment as a result of that, with also, of course, him kind of struggling on the mound recently. It sounds like the Mets sort of reached a breaking point after the game yesterday, and they are just really struggling, trying to turn things around. I saw earlier someone had tweeted out that a whole bunch of their infielders are out getting early work in today, which is something that they're not used to seeing out there. So I don't know. I mean, from the D-backs perspective, is that like worry you that the Mets are really trying to
locking it in right now?
This is supposed to be kind of their turnaround moment. I don't know how you would view that.
Piece of Yoshi saying the quiet part out loud. He says, so anyway, do we want to pick up Lopez is the real question here. I mean, we'll take any bullpen help we can get, even though our bullpen hasn't been that bad lately. Let's say that.
Is a 3.76 ERA.
I'm just saying.
It's not that bad.
I'm in.
I'm just saying. Elise also said we've all had bad moments. Ours just usually aren't caught by a bunch of media members.
Right.
She also said something earlier on. Can you back up there, Damon? Elise said a little bit up in the comment. She said the media taking advantage of a guy speaking to them who's having a terrible day and who's not a native English speaker. I don't like that. And I think that is something to be said here for sure in regards to, especially when you listen to it back, you definitely hear perhaps some confusion there and answers not necessarily lining up to the questions. But regardless, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, both of these teams right now, they have to go out and they have to play baseball. They have to play a four-game series, in fact. And we have the probable pitchers for this series. So let's take a look at how things line up. We have the Milkman going in game 1 here against Christian Scott, Jordan Montgomery in game 2 against Luis Saravino. We got Blake Walston going against Sean Manaea. And, of course, in game 4, we have Brandon Pfaadt going up against that diabolical mastermind TBD.
You know what, Damon, why don't we have TBD
Where's
stats
TBD
up there?
stats? No TBD stats,
Just
Damon?
blank?
He's ignoring us now. He doesn't care. He
Feels really
hates us.
disrespectful.
Anyway, this is, I mean, again, another situation where the Mets don't have terrible starting pitching. So considering the way that the Diamondbacks are hitting right now, I'm not very concerned. I'm not very confident. I'm very concerned.
Okay.
I'm not very confident.
Okay.
It's the other way.
Yeah. The Mets made some interesting moves over the offseason. I think you and I were kind of puzzled by a lot of what they did over the winter. But to their credit, Luis Severino has come in and been actually really good for them. As you can see here, he'll start that second game of the series against Jordan Montgomery. He has a 3.22 ERA so far on the year. And Sean Manaea, another move they made that I was kind of puzzled by. He's come in and had a 3.16 ERA to start the year. He'll start against Blake Walston on Saturday. So yeah, it's, the D-backs are getting two of the Mets' two best starters in this series. Christian Scott has also been pretty good. I think he's just made a handful of starts. So from a starting pitching standpoint, they're not getting off easy here by any means. And this Mets offense is interesting. It's, Francisco Lindor, how good of a player he can be. How good Pete Alonso can be. He's a little banged up, as I said earlier. I don't know how much we're going to see him in the series, but Starling Marte, still D-backs legend. Starling Marte still plays for the New York Mets. He's been just kind of okay this year. It seems like a lot of their hitters have been just kind of okay to start the season.
Well, and they will be without Pete Alonso at least for game 1. We have no idea how long he'll be gone, but yeah, I guess before we move on, we have to ask the question: is this a must-win series against the Mets, considering their struggles? Does this, is this a point if the Diamondbacks can't take care of business against this Mets team with everything they have going on right now? Is this the point where things start to unravel? And not to say they haven't already begun to unravel for this team, but is that the point where if you can't get it done against the team going through what the Mets are going through right now and the way that they've played this season, do you really start to worry about the Diamondbacks season from here?
I still have a hard time calling any series must win in May. I just can't bring myself to do it. But I will acknowledge for sure that the Diamondbacks need to turn things around. And the New York Mets, like, if you can't hold your own against the New York Mets, then there's not a whole lot of teams in the NL that are worse than the Mets right now. So yeah, no, must win, no, but it's a series the Diamondbacks should at least be able to split on paper. Is
a split a failure in your mind?
Probably not. It's not great, but I think a series split on the road, I think in general is kind of a fine outcome. So,
all right,
I wouldn't be too dramatic about it yet, but maybe you would be. I imagine you would be.
I would absolutely be dramatic about it. I think that this is one of those situations. Like we said, we've seen the Diamondbacks struggle against teams that were playing decent baseball. We've had our excuses, but when it comes down to the loss to the Marlins specifically, I think that's where people really started to start to worry about their ability to take care of business against the teams that they need to take care of business against. There's only so many teams on their schedule that right now you look at and on paper should be must-win series or should be very winnable series for the Diamondbacks. They've taken care of business against the Reds and some other teams that they were able to do that against, who were struggling at the time. We said the Mets or the Reds were a better team than we felt their record indicated, and we felt that they were playing at the time, and they actually are. Like, the Reds aren't playing terrible baseball, just struggling in the same way that the Diamondbacks are struggling right now. The Mets right now have a lot of things going wrong with them, not just injuries, but a lot of internal issues right now that should technically be a distraction. This should be a series the Diamondbacks should be able to take 3 out of 4. I'm not going to panic if they do split it, but if the Diamondbacks were to get swept by the Mets, I'm going to be a basket case. I'm just warning you now. Like, I'm going to come back in Monday, and it's going to be the season's over. Turn Chase Field into a parking lot, all of that kind of stuff all over again. So I hope that's not the case. But we do thank you guys, of course, for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so right now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our wonderful shows go live. And of course, drop us a like. We always appreciate when you do that. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We always appreciate those 5-star reviews. They mean the world to us. Of course, if you live here in Arizona or anywhere where there is sun, which pretty much covers everywhere, you should get yourself a wonderful pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of options to choose from. They styles, colors, whatever you're looking for. They also have the craziest lost and broken replacement plan in all of eyewear. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection plan in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by Shady Rays lost and broken replacement plan. It gives you a new pair of sunglasses, whether you lose them, whether you break them. Even on day one, they said they won't ask any questions. This guy over here, he will ask you 20 questions. Where did you lose them? How did you lose them? What were you doing when you lost them? All sorts of things. He's not going to let you get away with just saying you lost your sunglasses, give me a new pair, but Shady Rays will. So also, if you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair, return them worry-free within 30 days. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Again, try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Damon, next trip to Illegal Pete's, what are we getting? What's the order, Damon?
Old Reliable. I mean, I just go steak burrito.
Sounds really
got to
good.
add some potatoes in it. Rice, beans, obviously. I like fajita veggies. I like to add a little bit of, some onions, some bell pepper.
It's a 5-star order.
And then sour cream cheese and maybe a little bit of house hot salsa. It's that simple.
It's that simple, right? It's not complicated. It's just delicious. And that's what you could say about Illegal Pete's. They have everything you're looking for, including patio beers, which patio beers is amazing. Also, patio margaritas, also amazing. Their margaritas are the strongest in Arizona, and they have all of the irresistible food and drinks that you are looking for. Right now, Illegal Pete's is here to bring you a win with their legendary sound check deal. Bring in your ticket stub from any ticketed event, and you can get a draft beer or house margarita for a penny. Illegal Pete's wants to celebrate you with you, whether it's a pregame or a postgame party. They got you covered on all your game day needs. Must purchase an adult entree to redeem Illegal Pete's soundcheck deal. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, beer, and of course, Damon. All right, well, we are going to pivot here away from the Diamondbacks and take a look at the rest of Major League Baseball with our power rankings for this week. Jesse Friedman, what do you got for us?
We got a new number 1, Derek. That's
Wow.
what we got. The New York Yankees.
Oh, my
moved
goodness.
to the number 1 spot. They continue to inexplicably have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, even though Garrett Cole has yet to throw a pitch this season, which is wild to me. The Phillies dropped down into the number 2 spot. They're still 39-18, but they were 3-4 this past week. A little bit of a rough go lately by Phillies.
Crazy
standards.
when you play teams above 500, how that goes.
It does, yeah. I guess it does. I guess it can make a difference if you're not just like beating up on the Marlins every week. The Baltimore Orioles are in the 3 spot. That we've got Dodgers 4, Guardians 5, Braves 6, Royals 7. The Milwaukee Brewers at number 8. We have a new team in the top 10 this week. The Seattle Mariners coming in at number 9. They've been playing pretty good baseball as of late. Pretty big credit to several former Diamondbacks, Derek. Josh Rojas is playing pretty well.
Ryan Bliss.
Ryan Bliss made his big league debut this past week. Dom Canzone has been back from injury for a couple of weeks, hit a home run, I believe, yesterday. So they're in the number 9 spot. Then we have the Minnesota Twins rounding things out at number 10.
Devin says Phillies dropped a series to the Rockies, so thus can the Phillies only move down 1 spot? I think that alone should cause them to move down multiple spots. The Orioles went 6-1 over the last week. That's nuts. That's the reason why you see there the biggest change. It felt like the Orioles were kind of dropping out of things, and then they come right back with a 6-1 week. They have a plus 69 run differential. Nice.
Yeah, the Phillies, it is fair. I guess the Phillies just lost 2 out of 3 to the Giants after losing 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. So those aren't great teams. Although I will say the Giants, by taking 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, are now 1 game over 500 at 29-28. So the Giants have kind of turned things around lately.
They have. So the Padres and the Giants now kind of both of them sitting there above 500, while the Diamondbacks now have to deal with the fact that they have the Rockies creeping up on them with the way the Rockies have been playing.
Are the Rockies creeping up on the Diamondbacks?
The Rockies have had a pretty good week. I don't want to talk about the Rockies. They don't deserve time to be spoken about during our, top power rankings. But
the Diamondbacks are much closer to the Rockies than they are to the Dodgers. That we can say. The Rockies are 20. The Rockies are 20 and 35. The Rockies are 5 games behind the Diamondbacks at this point. You're right. That's a lot closer than I realized. The Chicago Cubs, I will also say real quick, the Cubs had a pretty brutal week. I believe they were 1-5, and they just cannot hit. And of course, the Diamondbacks sort of in the same boat there. But the Chicago Cubs have very much struggled lately. Their run differential is down to -8. They're back to 500 at 28-28. So they drop off the top 10 this week. And also Shota Imanaga, Derek, proved that he was, in fact, a human being.
He finally.
And yes, finally. He gave up, I think it was 7 runs in his outing yesterday to the Milwaukee Brewers. So, of course, give up 7 runs, your ERA is still sub 2. So that's the state of Shota Imanaga's baseball career at this point. But yeah, a bit of a rough one, a bit of a rough week for the Cubs. I will say the St. Louis Cardinals are also maybe a little more relevant than we gave them credit for a couple weeks ago.
8-2 in the last 10, and they are at 500 themselves. Giants get up over the top of Mount 500, 29-28. And then you could give an honorable mention spot to the Rangers as well for sweeping the Diamondbacks and getting they were almost, both of the teams that were in the World Series were almost in the same spot when this series started.
Very similar.
Right?
Yeah.
And now things look much better for the Rangers than the Diamondbacks. But of course, the Diamondbacks do have 4 against the Mets. And like we said before, if there is a team to have right now, to be playing right now, it's the Mets, unless they actually take that stuff to heart, those team meetings, that early infield practice, and then maybe not so much. But things are just rough for the Diamondbacks right now. I mean, this hasn't been a great season around baseball. Like we said yesterday, the National League is kind of a mess when it comes to teams with an above 500 record. There weren't many, especially before yesterday or the day before. But this is just a situation where the Diamondbacks can't drop back too far. They're 5 games below 500. They have a chance to at least, keep it close to 500 here with this series against the Mets. We discussed yesterday, they have Geraldo Perdomo potentially making a rehab start early next week. So we could see Perdomo return as early as the following weekend, would you say maybe?
Yeah. I think against the Padres next weekend, I think it's possible that the Perdomo is back with the D-backs. Where do you think we would have the D-backs if we were to add them? If we were to continue our power rankings down until we got to them? I guess
that's rough.
The Giants and the Padres would have to be higher, right? They're both a game over 500.
Cubs.
So that's 11 and 12.
Cubs would be higher.
Cubs are close because of how terrible they're playing right now, but I would still maybe put them higher. So you've got maybe
Cardinals.
Cubs are at 13th. Cardinals, they've won 8 out of 10. They're a -35 on the season. I'm still a little bit skeptical of them, but I think that's probably fair.
Rangers would probably be. I mean, it'd be hard
Rangers,
to put Rangers below them after just sweeping.
After they just swept them, Red Sox, I would probably put above the D-backs there at 500 and have a pretty good run differential this year. That's what 6 teams that we just listed off. So that would put the D-backs at number 17, I think.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. But of course, hopefully they can get things back on track. Like we said, this is the series to do it. So I'm gonna change what I said earlier, and I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic now, and say hopefully they can get things back on track here. But of course, you can get yourself back on track at Circle K. Of course, if you are looking to fill up your car or fill yourself up, make sure to stop by Circle K. They are America's thirst stop. They also have their Inner Circle program, which if you haven't joined yet, you can join for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But when you do, you'll save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and you'll save 3 cents per gallon every single day after that. You can also stop in and get any size Polar Pop for just 79 cents. And let me tell you, I've said it before, that you can get a gigantic beverage for 79 cents. You just can't get it anywhere else. You also, if you do join the Inner Circle, you get discounts on the drinks, you get discounts on pizza, coffee, and so much more. So make sure to join the Inner Circle for free today. Also, check out our friends at OG's Brands. I am a big fan of OG's, and you probably should be too. OG's has a wide variety of products. They have their new OG's Natural as well as the big OG's, which I, of course, it's been discussed that I enjoy those on occasion. You can also check out their Sleep Edition gummy, their Happy Balance, and so much more. They have a wide variety of doses, strains, and effects for you to make your day better, make your mood better. The Big OG's, of course, is a mega version of Peg's Raspberry Orange RSO, and that is one of the company's most popular products. If you do not know what Rick Simpson oil is, check it out. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. To learn more about OG's gummies and where you can find them, head on over to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or over to enjoy, and please enjoy responsibly. Well, I would like to enjoy some OG's and then check out Ryan Thompson's very own taco dish here in town.
Yeah.
Ryan Thompson making waves. Not only is he the visiting clubhouse Pop-A-Shot champion for the Texas Rangers ballpark there, but Ryan Thompson now has his own dish here in town at Enchiladas called Thompson's Taco Sliders. Fantastic.
Do you think he made them? Like, did he make these at home? And
he did create them. Yes, he actually did create them. It includes a shrimp stuffed pineapple taco, a carne asada taco, and an al pastor taco. And it was a creation by, of course, Tea Time Ryan Thompson. We are Ryan's dogs.
So how does he have time to be like a major league pitcher? And he's also in seminary, as we've discussed. He's
very
also
busy
a
man.
Student.
And he catches pro wrestling 3 times a week at least.
Avid pro wrestling viewer. And he's also making these tacos.
He has to eat sometimes.
Fresh at home every day.
But he has to eat, Jesse. He has to eat. What do you think? Do you think tacos are like that it takes time, that he had to like trial and error it? I mean, the man knows what he likes. And when asked what he likes, he was like, we're going to do my 3 favorites that I make myself all the time. I mean, he might be a professional athlete, but he also is a human being that has to consume food in order to stay alive.
That's fair.
Not everybody hates making themselves a sandwich that they don't get to eat in that same moment. My co-host can't stand packing his own lunch. Can you understand how he's going to feel when he's a father? He has to pack a small child's lunch, and then he doesn't even get to eat it? Oh, wait till those days come around. But
Derek, what did you bring for lunch today again?
Don't shame me. Look, I brought Uncrustables, and I am not. I'm not on trial here. It's not about me. It's about Ryan Thompson.
Right, okay.
One cool part about this is $1 from every one of his taco sliders sold will go to Ryan's favorite foundation, which is JR98 Inc. And JR98 Inc. is a foundation which its goal is to advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. It was started by a former teammate's parents, his teammate with the Tampa Bay Rays, Gene Ramirez, who died by suicide at the age of 28. So a big part of that charity, obviously, is his connection to his former teammate. And I mean, when you talk to Ryan Thompson about his teammates, you understand how much they mean to him. He has very much expressed to us how much his teammates mean to him. So you can understand how much that this foundation means to him. But I
want to go try it.
Yeah, we have to try it.
We have to go try.
We have to try it. We have to give it a review. I also wonder what other like restaurants and ideas can we get out there for other players, right? Because the one thing I want to really address here is what a fire name Thompson's Taco Sliders are, considering that Ryan Thompson throws a slider. right? That's very important.
Yeah,
here.
that's fair.
mean,
He
that's-
does. Yeah, primary out pitch. There you go.
I was thinking that Subway could have a Marte Parte sub,
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
All right. Yeah, that feels right.
and I mean it could be like our little GIF where he comes up and he does a little dance in the commercial as you see it's a 3-foot long party sub.
Okay.
I don't know.
What's on the? What is it? Is it ham? Is it salami? Like what are we thinking here?
I mean, that seems very like I feel like it would have some spice to it, right? It would be like
Okay.
a chipotle mayo, perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe some jalapenos on there, bacon. I know avocado, definitely.
Okay.
And then a series of meats. It's got to be very flashy,
Yeah. That makes sense.
right?
Yeah. Is the bread can we make the bread teal or something like that? Is that possible?
With like the pink, like a pinkish sauce on top.
Yeah,
Now we're
there we
really
go.
talking. What about Corbin's corn on the cob?
There we go.
Yeah,
It
right.
rolls-
I mean,
it
that's
rolls right off the-
self-explanatory.
right
I
off
don't
the tongue.
like it could have some tahini or something. Espo's giving me a thumb down for that. All right, Espo, I got another one for you. Jock stock coming to supermarket near you. Chicken stock, beef stock. It's about soups.
How about Jock Strapping his big shirt?
Okay, let's calm down over there. How about the Krabby Gabby? You know, like a Krabby
Krabby.
Patty, but it can be Krabby Gabby. It's a meatless burger made with seaweed. There's also drinks. Zach Gallen's Milkman Milkshake goes pretty hard, right? And then
Yeah.
there's just the Lourdes Goriel Jr. That's what it's called. It's a
That's
frozen
just-
beverage with a lot of alcohol in it. It's got like multiple umbrellas sticking out of the top. See, Elise gets it, elote style with the Corbin's corn on the cob. Yeah, now we're
Shouldn't
talking.
Lourdes have like some sort of pineapple?
Mm.
That's crazy that it would be served in a pineapple. It would
There
be
we
a
go.
drink
Yeah,
served
it's
in
a
a
hollowed
pineapple,
out pineapple.
and it's a purple drink, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's
a
a-
frozen purple. Right?
I think that they don't cut all the leaves of the pineapple off.
Nailed it.
They leave some on the
Nailed it.
sides when
Nailed
they
it.
hollow it out.
Nailed it. I mean, why aren't we need to be selling these all over the valley? You want to talk about how we get these guys out of a slump? There's the answer. Look at how well Ryan Thompson is pitching. Case closed. That's all I'm saying. Get these guys some product endorsements, get them some dishes around the valley, and we'll fix this team. We'll fix the problem. We'll figure it out one way or another. Of course, we do get to watch the Arizona Diamondbacks play the New York Mets today. We have to. That game
Yeah,
is
I was
good.
gonna say I'm kind of surprised you worded
Get
it that
to
way.
have to watch the Diamondbacks play the New York Mets. But of course, we will be around for that. You can join us tomorrow. We're going to do a post-game show tomorrow on Friday, so make sure to come back here for that. Jesse also has a preview of the series with On the Record as well, which we'll dive a little bit more into this, more so than we did today. But you got anything else before we go?
Yeah, I think that's about all I got.
Yeah.
So let's watch some more baseball, Derek. This team's very, very entertaining over the last week or so.
Shane had the audacity to ask us if the Diamondbacks played next Saturday. They play every day almost. Like the season doesn't stop. This is baseball.
Can I ask you real quick? So the Diamondbacks haven't hit a home run in their last 5 games.
5 games.
Who breaks the trend?
Cattell
Cattell.
today.
Jock.
You say Jock?
Damon says Jock.
I say
Okay.
Cattell. I think Cattell gets his shit together today.
Okay. So you think it's happening today?
Yeah,
You
I think it's going to happen
the
today.
streak ends today?
Yeah, I think it has to. It has to end today. I'm putting money on it. I might just go put some money on it. I'm not so sure anymore. We'll see. But of course, we thank you guys so much for being here. Shout out to Andrew Dang. Thank you so much for your sticker. He says, pair character would love it. Is that just emoji? Okay, that's an emoji description. I'm not going to read that.
No,
but
you have to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. All right. Pair character with lovey-dovey eyes, blowing red hearts in the air.
Thank you,
Well,
Andrew.
To you, Andrew. Groundhog Mama says, I'm wearing my Lourdes shirt today to bring him luck. If he swings at the first pitch and it isn't a hit, I'm taking it off. All right, let's go. All right. We're figuring out ways to break this slump. But of course, we thank you all for being here. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. This maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the people's producer, Damon, is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for being here today. Elise says, let's be real. It'll be Pavin. She's right. It will be Pavin. That'll be who breaks up the
Jesse, let's get a
homerless streak.
prediction from you.
I think Lourdes will hit. I'm gonna go with Lourdes on that.
There we go.
Yeah.
I thought this guy knew ball. That's crazy. Anyway,
Wow, that was disrespectful. There. So Lourdes and Jesse.
The man hit. I think he homered in each of the Diamondbacks' first 3 games. Like Lourdes, when he gets hot, he can. I mean, he hit 24 home runs last year, Derek.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're
all
being
right.
so critical of that decision.
I think it's fair that I'm being this critical right now.
Do you
shout out to Devin for being here the first time live. He says he usually listens on Spotify at work. Thank you for being here. Happy to have you.
Do you think that the Diamondbacks it has felt over the course of the season like when they've had an elongated hitting slump, they eventually respond by scoring 37 runs
Correct.
in one game or something like that? Do you feel like that's what's going to happen this time as well?
Maybe
That's my other question.
tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Feels like tomorrow is more of that day.
All right, Luis Severino then.
Severino.
Okay. All right.
I said Saravino earlier, so at least
Clearly, you don't have very much respect for him.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit for Sebi, but
And Yoshi made sure he let you know about it too.
He did. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
At first, it was when I pulled up the graphic, so I thought that I like misspelled it, and I was like checking over my graphic just because Yoshi just like every time he says anything, it just scares the shit out of me. Like I think I screwed something up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not. Look, I don't say names well on this show. You should know that by now. It's part of the gimmick.
He's not only just the grammar police. He's just like point fingers guy.
Yeah,
like he just loves pointing fingers.
Yeah. What are you doing to get the Diamondbacks out of this slump, Yoshi? Huh? What are you doing? That's what I thought. But of course, again, we thank you guys again so much for being here. We will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, go Snakes. Hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you get to take home a reliever's glove that he threw into the stands.
We all silly like the mayor.